And we're live. Jufu, I am super excited to first of all to meet you. Second of all to have you in studio here today. We're both Brooklyn boys. We're both 21. This is and we probably know a lot of the same people. But no, truly, thank you for taking the time. Thank you to
Thank
family
you for
and team
having me.
for being here, and happy to get into some good things today. But first of all, we were talking about it a little bit off air. I gave you a second to think about it, put you on the spot. Is there a little tidbit, little something that the world might not know about you from previous interviews, content you've put out that the world doesn't know about Jufu?
All right. So, sheesh, this is like pressure because there's more eyes in the room, but it's cool. It's cool. Something that people do not know about me, I want to say is that okay. How do I put this? So, okay, this is exactly what I was gonna get into. I'm gonna just be completely raw. So, I get compared to a lot of people, just based on physical appearance, based on music. It's very interesting to me, right? And I resonate. There's something called narrative resonance. I actually learned that term yesterday, and it's usually like someone's like life story, like they're telling you a story and you resonate with that story. So I mean, there's plenty of people that artists specifically that I resonate with very heavily, and I get compared to a lot of artists that I happen to resonate with, and a lot of people think that I'm trying to like emulate these people, but it's just a literal resonance that goes on. Those people include Juice WRLD, Mac Miller, X, rest in peace to all those people, Michael Jackson, and so it's very interesting. I guess this conversation is gonna go into life purpose, because I have I didn't really like know my direction in life until I was about 18 years old, I would say. And like I was already making content, I was making videos on social media, but this is a long way to answer this question. But I was already making a lot of content on social media, and it was fun for me, but I didn't really have like an overall purpose and vision. I didn't have an overall purpose to what I was doing. It was just growing. And after we lost X, is actually an artist that I didn't when I first heard of his music, I didn't like resonate with it, and it was my ex-girlfriend who put me onto him in 2016. But yeah, after we lost him, it impacted me very, very heavily, and I started to just take the time to really understand myself more, because that's something that he was encouraging his audience to do. And through taking that time to start to learn about myself more, learn about the world more, and ideally, like I said, understand myself more, I began to understand my purpose a lot more. And I secretly the day that he passed away, I was in my room and I was like, I just closed my eyes and I made a promise. I don't even think I ever told you this, but I made a promise to literally continue what he was pushing for, and I feel like other artists such as Juice WRLD, who's had a major impact on people, Michael Jackson and Mac Miller, and many other people that unfortunately have passed away, have this genuine energy about them and the same intention for ideally the world with their music. And that's how I really started to go on my journey of understanding my purpose and continuing music.
How do you better, as you said, I mean, there's a lot that I want to unpack there, but just in talking about being able to better understand yourself and who you are and your general purpose, what are some of the big ways in which you've been able to do that and kind of better understanding who you are and what you want to do. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you're still young and you're growing and all that. But
Always learning.
even if at 18 you had this moment where you're feeling X, Y, and Z, I think it's still a sign of great maturity to be able to take a step back and want to better understand yourself.
Yeah. I honestly gotta say, YouTube University has been a major. I mean, it's full of information. Full of people's just stories. Like I've learned so much from YouTube, and I feel like social media is a place where you can either get sucked into whatever the negatives are of the media, or you can use it to your advantage and actually grow and learn. So definitely YouTube has opened my eyes to so much, just listening to audiobooks, lectures, podcasts, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that, and just experiences as well. Like, I feel like learning things through YouTube is also helping me with experiences that I'm going through in life today that I learned from. I mean, the best way to learn something is ideally through your experiences, for sure.
What's the kind of internal dialogue that you have with yourself when you're going through perhaps a moment of growth or self-discovery?
Internal dialogue that I have with myself when going through. One more time.
What's maybe the internal dialogue or the kind of the thought process that you go through when you're going maybe through one of those moments that could be a tougher moment, where you're starting to like really learn about yourself and what you want to do and what your purpose is in this world?
The way that I look at it, I mean, I went through something that was very, very painful for me last year, and I think anytime that I go through some sort of pain, the internal dialogue for me is that what I'm going through is strengthening me for other events that will be a part of fulfilling my purpose. So I feel like there's certain things that impact me now, and I learned how to turn it into something stronger for myself. And then after I go through that, there's another experience awaiting me. I don't know when it's going to come. Only God knows. And when that experience comes, I'm a little bit more equipped, and I'm not going to be stuck in a ideally depressive state or just on a very down state. I'm going to get through it much quicker and keep moving.
And I mean, like, I've watched some of your past interviews and your content, just like, getting to know you now for about 10 minutes. You can feel, though, genuinely just a really good kind of general energy and vibe. And I think that, like, it's not something that I personally take for granted whenever I meet people like that, because, I think it's something that you have to work on and to treat everyone. I see the way you talk to your mom, and just like small things of kindness. I think those are beautiful to see, especially in someone that's getting a lot of attention really young. Have you felt, first of all, have you always been like that in terms of like that kind of energy? And then actually I'll ask you my second question after that.
So oddly, I don't remember too much of myself before like 17. I remember like a couple moments. My mom could probably like tell the way, like, more of my behaviors, but from my understanding of just looking back, I started social media back in 2013 on Vine. Well, actually 2014 on Vine, and it's been about 7 years in social media. And I feel like I was always a nice person, but I also didn't have many genuine relationships with people. It was just like more of one thing I had to deal with in high school was like having a following and not knowing whether somebody was actually my friend, right, whether a girl really liked me, or if it was just for what I was doing. So that definitely gave me a little bit of an imbalance of some sort, but I definitely would say that I was always nice to the people around me.
So when did you... So you had a fairly big following on Vine, from what I've heard in your interviews. And then when Vine kind of fizzled out, did that kind of translate to other apps and social media as well?
Yeah, so Vine died out. I was 15.
Yeah.
I did not know what I wanted to do at that point. I was like, dang, like everything's gone. Like I put all my eggs in one basket, and I should have been on Instagram at the same time. I should have been on everything else. I started vlogging. I started doing a daily vlog in high school for a little bit.
Okay.
I actually re-uploaded those videos recently. But I was doing a daily vlog, and I felt like I was doing the same thing every single day. I was just going to school and going back home, so I stopped that. And then the app Musically was around. So awesome thing about Musically is that I didn't really have much interest in getting on the app, but the app called me. They didn't literally call me, but they were taking my sounds that were on Vine and putting it under their comedy section on Musically. And those were going viral before I was even on the app.
They allowed to do that? All right.
I don't know.
Who knows?
But I mean, they did take a lot of sounds from Vine. And yeah, I got on the app, and it was hella love when I got on the app. I started making sounds and just original content on the app itself. And those sounds that I was doing on the app started going viral as well. And yeah, that's really the direction that I took.
And then when you were in high school, well, I guess TikTok wasn't really around then.
Not yet.
It was just, so you was mostly like Musically still at that time.
Yeah.
And then, so it's funny that you say like you weren't sure if people were like, well, you said it in a very nice way. You said you weren't sure if people were your friend or clout chasing was basically, you know, I guess
ideally that's another way to look at it. I guess that's a subjective point.
It's subjective. But like for you, you know, what were some of the ways in which you would be able to differentiate or, you know, see if someone was truly there for the right reasons or if it was because of the following or whatever else you were doing?
I feel like it was one. I feel like I didn't have the best judgment of that. I definitely have a lot more clarity of the type of energy somebody's carrying now. But I also don't blame people in high school because, I mean, it's just...
It's high school.
Yeah, it's high school. But, yeah, I feel like at the time, I was really just differentiating based on, like, who wanted to take pictures after school and who wanted to make videos after school. And, like, I was always down for collaboration, but sometimes I would feel like I'm being pulled a little bit too much.
And then, so you didn't go to college, or did you?
I went to college for a year.
For a year, where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to FIT. My mom graduated from there. Like,
wow.
Before
I have some friends at FIT actually.
Yeah, FIT was dope.
Yeah,
I was studying film.
Very cool. Yeah. And then I guess things, you know, you didn't really need college.
Music started happening. I dropped 2 records on TikTok. Both of them blew up back to back, and I planned out both of those records. And the first one was Whoa. And at the time of putting it out, I wasn't really getting, it was viral everywhere on Instagram, TikTok, etc. But I wasn't getting credit for the song at all. So I wasn't really growing from it. That's actually how I got into my management situation as well, because they were helping a lot with just the back end of the music side. And then after the Whoa song, we moved into I moved into Who Are You. I thought to myself, this is gonna be a better song. This one's gonna hit better. I have a good video that's gonna do well on TikTok, and that's exactly what happened. And that was bigger. That turned into a record deal, and life started changing very rapidly.
So you described it as meme music.
Ideally, yeah.
Do you still feel that way?
You know, what's really interesting is that at the time of making Who Are You, right? Like, the way I look at life now is very different than when I was making the song. So I like to live by like a principle of like we are all each other. God is within all of us, or the observer is within everyone, and that's why people are able to have connection. Sometimes it's connection beyond word and beyond sight. So now the way I look at the song, sometimes I feel like some of the music I've made is literally like speaking to me, even though it wasn't supposed to. Like, who are you? I am you. Like, basic as that. And then even a song that I made last year called Just Do It. I found myself having to just
I think
shake
I
things
listened to
off
that one
and just do
yesterday.
it sometimes. So sometimes I feel like my music is speaking to me after I've already recorded it.
So when you're making it, or when you made at least Whoa and Who Are You, was the general intent for them to like go viral on like a TikTok?
Yes.
So like, take me through that kind of process of like when you're making a song that has the full intention
Right.
of being like a viral TikTok song.
So at the time, it was definitely very primarily drum beats,
Okay.
like beats that don't have much melody to
Right.
it. I think kids just love drums and bass.
Interesting.
So that was definitely doing it. And I feel like even today, like just the most common dance songs on TikTok that blow up are very heavy in drums and bass. The melody is not that important when it comes to that type of music.
Okay.
But that was one of the first things I looked for in the beat. Interesting sound, which was the so there's that. Drums and bass.
Okay.
Fast tempo was a bop, and I don't know how the heck Who Are You, I'm You came to my head, to be honest. But I kind of like just freestyled that out, and then I just built off of it. But ideally, it's like even the down, everything down to the tone, the lyrics. I feel like all of that plays, tone of voice, the lyrics, all of that plays together in what's gonna resonate with a kid who wants to watch dancing videos and what can go viral at the time, because TikTok is very different than 2019.
Now, for you, when you see, like, when you put out your song and you see it start to go viral,
Right.
What's that feeling like for you? Because that's not a feeling that everybody gets to feel.
It's dope. It is dope. It's like all right, you know how people say fame is a drug? Yeah. I think it's very dope. It's a very it's just the way the brain works, and like dopamine, like the way social media is supposed to impact people. It's like on overdrive when you're going viral, because it's like numbers.
Right.
So I mean, it's a really good feeling. I my perception has changed on that a little bit now, but it is a scarily satisfying feeling.
Well, I feel like it's great when it's happening. I could also see why, like, and correct, I don't know if you had this experience, but like it could be, as you said, like a drug where you want more of it, right?
And going viral is not an everyday thing.
It's not an everyday thing. Right. And I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but is there that fear that you might not go viral again?
I think you're gonna say fear of missing out.
Or either fear of missing out, or like feeling like, holy shit, I gotta, like, what if my next thing doesn't go viral? What if this? I don't know if that's something you think or
I think
feel.
Going viral definitely has that effect on anyone that goes viral, because you definitely want to have a follow up to what your viral moment is, and it sucks when you have to. You don't have to, but it sucks when it affects you in that way, because I mean it starts to deter your creativity and like just the way that you should be able to be creatively. But yes, I definitely experienced that fear, and I was actually watching a YouTube video yesterday about virality and like certain people's viral moments, and they can, based on that video, some of those people definitely experience a very similar thing.
Was there a certain person who duetted or used that sound that you were like, holy shit, that's so cool?
This question is a common question, and the answer to that question is Will Smith.
Oh, right.
He didn't duet it, but he posted, even better than a duet technically, he said, "A wise man once said, 'Who are you? I am you,' and tagged me." And it was on Instagram. That was like a dream come true.
Wow.
Ran downstairs. My folks were watching a movie, and we just completely forgot we were watching a movie for the rest of the night because Will Smith took over the night.
Did you ever have any contact with him?
Not with him directly, but I spoke to the manager of his content team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, that was really cool.
I mean, at that point, do you feel like you know, shit, like I kind of like, this is huge. Where do I go from here? Because I mean, there's probably a lot of excitement. Does that put more pressure on you?
I would say
It's Will Smith.
yes. Beyond Will Smith, I mean, it was
Yeah.
just, it was so many people to an overwhelming point, and it just got to a point where it's like, dang, I appreciate this. I appreciate this. I appreciate this. Will Smith was definitely like the peak of it. But moving on from there, the pressure I feel like came from everything else going on after the song, like moving around a lot more. I'm somebody who's pretty much I can't even call myself an introvert because I love talking, but I have a lot of introvert characteristics. I love
I
just
feel that.
I'm just always like in my den
Yeah.
type of vibe. But yeah, I had to be around a lot more. I started visiting schools, having to perform, which I wasn't too used to, and that's definitely more of where the pressure came from, I would say.
Do you still feel, I mean, is this kind of pressure still prominent today?
Not necessarily. In terms of when I was just starting, it was a lot more pressureful because I just it was just a lot happening. But right now I'm like in a much more like I feel like the music that I've made over the last year, over the last year and a half, the music I've made resonates with me so much more and resonates with what I feel my purpose is, where I feel like my purpose fuels me to not even feel pressured. Like the pressure is good pressure.
What is your purpose?
My purpose, I don't, how do I put this in words? Ideally, I feel that my divine purpose in this world is to impact people, not just impact people because you can impact people in many different ways, but ideally I just want to help people understand themselves more. I'm obviously learning myself more, but I just want to be able to speak to people, and I want people to be able to resonate based on my experiences and just be the greatest self that they can be and go for whatever they want to do in their life.
Is there a moment that you've had with maybe someone who's reached out on Instagram, a fan, where they told you like, hey, Jufu, like what you said or what you did or your song changed my life or changed this?
I love when my audience sends me audio messages, and I encourage them to send me audio messages. Definitely, there's even last week, I don't know who I played it for, or if I even, no, I think I was on the phone with Don after I got this audio message, but this kid was like, I started making music because of you, and like things like that.
Wow.
Hit me so hard because like I could think back to the first time. I could just think back to multiple different people and points in my life that led me to wanting to create music. So having that impact on people that have the potential to be the next person that influences millions of other people is a major, I mean, it's there's nothing more fulfilling than that. And I feel like the secret to life is giving, and if you can give inspiration and you can give knowledge to people, it's priceless.
How do you, what are for you the best ways in which you feel like you can give? Is it through music? Is it
Usually through music and through just speaking to people. I like to really like, I don't like to say it's a Pisces thing. I'm really into signs.
okay?
Pisces tend to like to engage in more of a deeper conversation and get somebody out of their shell and talk about their life experiences, and that's just the way I am with people. And I feel like when you could tap into that, I mean, it can be very valuable for people.
Do you feel like do you feel like you've grown up a little bit under, some kind of spotlight, because you started really so young on Vine, and there's always been, I guess, throughout your life, since your young life, a big following. People are seeing what you're posting, what you're doing. Do you feel like in a lot of ways you've kind of grown up? I mean, you've definitely grown up a little bit differently than most people.
It was a little bit of a spotlight, yeah.
But I don't know if that's, you know, a burden in a way, or something that you've been able to kind of relish in.
You know, I haven't really thought to myself if it's impacted me too heavily, but I feel like it's definitely had some subconscious effects on me for sure.
Like what?
That I don't notice. Like once in a while, self-doubt, and like, I mean, that's common it's a very situational based thing, but just small little things like that happen sometimes. But I mean, everything that I look into now today, I feel like is making me stronger and getting me from those things.
What are some of the moments that you might doubt yourself the most?
With just creativity. Like I love what I create, don't get me wrong, and every time I create something, I try to elevate from the last thing I've made, and I've made some pretty fire stuff this year. But just like when you're at the point of, okay, I made this, now it's time to put it out, that's where it's like, all right, is this gonna go this way, or is it gonna go this way, or is it gonna go this way? And yeah, I just feel like it's just something that I just gotta deal with. But one thing that I feel like is very important is to, whatever you create, it should be super, super authentic to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love what you created, overall, even if it's gonna have some sort of negative response right now, as whatever that piece of content or music that you've created lives, I think at some point it does what you wanted it to do. As opposed to like the way the world might react to a specific song today might be a completely different reaction 5 years from now, for example.
Do you think you're gonna look back on some of your, what do you think, or how do you think in 10 years you'll look back on some of the music you've already dropped?
So the music, I would definitely look back at it as just like, it would be awesome to look back at.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly just like, because like I said, I just try to elevate every record, and as I go through life, I'm gonna be learning more things and having different experiences to put into my music. So it's gonna be like a long story that the music is just gonna get better throughout all of that as well. So
is there for you, is the music your number one priority? Currently
for like the next like 9 to 10 years.
Okay, and then how do you see the following years after that looking?
Moving after that, like I said, I went to film school. I have a passion for cinematography and direction, so definitely see myself making films, and the films would be aligned with my purpose, because I mean, I feel like when you can make music is very impactful, but films are also super impactful as well. So I feel like I can create films that are aligned with my purpose, and I can touch even more people's lives with the film as well. And I'll still be dropping music, like an album here and there, but it won't be like my main focus. I won't be like boom, 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 boom for music.
What's the day-to-day kind of creative process like for you these days?
As of lately, just because social media is a major part of music today, it's just trying to be as consistent as possible with the content that I'm putting out. But in addition to that, just recording music. I don't record every single day because I feel like it's something that I actually want to begin doing. I think it's a very healthy thing to do, especially if it's especially just for improving your skill. But content sometimes, or like just going live, like sometimes I'm on live with my audience for like 4 hours straight and I don't realize the time went by. And yeah, sometimes content and going live takes a little bit too much of my day, and then it's like late and I don't even want to like record anymore, because I prefer to record music in the daytime. I prefer to write like in the morning.
Are you is there ever moments that you miss college or miss school?
I miss just like the friendships in college, really. But other than the friends that I've made out there,
Nah.
it wasn't really all that. Like,
You
I
don't
think
need it.
college is great for the relationships that you can make there. But I mean, it also depends on what you can learn. If I would ever go back to school for any reason, I would study psychology.
Interesting.
Yeah, psychology's dope.
What about psychology fascinates
So
you?
what I love about psychology is that I feel like it's a when you learn psychology, it makes you very self-aware and aware of other people's just behaviors and how they operate. But one thing that's close to my heart that's really cool to me is that, and this aligns with what I just said, I've opened my mind and become self-aware to certain things through my own experiences. And a cousin of mine who I wasn't too close with since I was like 12, because we grew up together, and then I started going home by myself. We used to go to my grandmother's house every day after school. I was able to have a conversation with her this past Easter, and it was my first time feeling as close to her as I felt when I was younger, and it was the first time I felt that in like nine years. And she actually was studying psychology, so like I didn't study psychology, but we were able to have like a great conversation, and be on the same frequency. So it was very special to me.
What are some of those, if you're comfortable sharing them, of course, like experiences that you feel like changed your life?
Sheesh. I don't want to get too into my youthful experiences, but one of the losing people is very difficult for me. But I feel like when I lose people, it reinforces the purpose and what I want to do for people. So I mean, last year I lost a friend of mine that I was romantically involved with. My name is Julian. Her name is Julia.
Wow.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
That was definitely a very, very, very moving point in my life. And I feel like I went under some sort of like depression that wasn't a full-on depression. There's like a functional form of depression where, like, I don't know the name, the scientific term for it or the abbreviation, but it's where you're not fully like depressed and in bed for multiple days straight not doing anything, but you're still functionable.
Right.
But it is playing a role in your mood. And I feel like I've been dealing with that for literally like many months after. But that was a very, very it was very hard to deal with. Very interestingly enough, I feel like one of the first conversations me and her were able to connect about was X. She had an X tattoo.
Wow.
But yeah, she was awesome.
So
Let me show you this really interesting text.
Okay.
Right? So this is my wallpaper on my phone.
Okay.
I just want to show you real quick, because it's really interesting to me that this is me and her, like, our very last text.
And so it's your wallpaper.
Yes.
Wow.
It was awake, and then I am now.
Wow.
And I am now is the last response that I have to her. But I see that in a very different way than everybody would see it. But I see it as like, I am now. Like, awake.
Yeah.
I am now. She's
that is
awake in a different.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Dimension.
It's a beautiful. I mean, it's you know, I can't imagine that process for you, but I do think that it's probably you know, not only gonna change your life for the rest of your life, but also for your general purpose. Kind of beautiful to see how you've, you know, taken that obviously huge tragedy, and you know, you still have a smile on your face, and you still want to make people happy around you, and continue on with that general purpose. So, I think that that's beautiful.
I think it only makes me want to help people
Right.
even more. Like, and it could be a negative thing for me sometimes, because I tend to overextend myself to help people that I feel like might be dealing with something internally and not be sharing it. And it's something I can't help. I can't help it. Like, I have a song. It's not out yet, but it's called Savior. It's like, I'm always trying to be a savior. I care too much, can take the fact that I can't save her. I always tell her stop the habits, bad behaviors. I want to see you going strong. I'll be a trainer. And that's like literally the approach that I take on with
everyone.
People. Yeah.
Would you say with most people in your life?
With most people, especially when they're dealing with something.
Right. And do you feel like you're still able to, because as you said, like, you are about giving, and I can tell that you probably want to make every single person around you as happy and as loving as possible.
It's hard.
Are you able to sometimes take that time for yourself though, and make sure that you're good too?
Yes, I do take the time.
Enough time.
I don't think I do take enough time to myself sometimes, but I just keeping everybody happy is something that it's been something I'm working on as of more recently, like learning, because I like to keep everybody happy. I say yes a lot. And when you say yes a lot, it can harm you sometimes. So that's actually something that I've been working on recently, like figuring out ways to say no, but also no and understanding that no doesn't really mean a bad thing. Sometimes people might perceive it that way, but I just don't like to like hurt people's feelings in any way either. So it's just like, this is something I've been working on.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, there's like, especially as you're going to continue to grow and your brand is going to grow, you're going to have a million opportunities. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, understanding that no is not a sign of disrespect. It's almost in some cases it might even be a sign of respect to yourself. Snaps. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that's there's probably a lot that you have to probably deal with on a daily basis, and trying to navigate the workings of growing up and making people happy, making yourself happy. And but it seems though that I've had a few different artists on my show, and you seem to have some very great people around you that are here present today. Even, I'll be honest, even showing up on time is a rarity amongst artists, rappers, as Don probably knows. So just like that, but that's in my opinion, and having had a bunch of those people on it, it's a sign that you have people around you that love you, that are the right people. What's it been like, to grow your brand and also grow with your parents, management? What do you think it's like for them to see your growth?
Sheesh. I think it's I don't even know. Like, I can't even put myself on the outside. Let me think about the outside perspective right now, because I feel like I don't put myself in like the viewing everything from the outside perspective. Sheesh. I feel like it's been probably it's been a pretty awesome journey just to see my growth as a person. At least I think that's the case. Yeah, I think it's been a lot of growth, and the people around me are definitely proud, and they push me very well as well, because I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm in my head a lot, and I'm not being as efficient as I can be because I'm thinking too much. And I feel like they do everything they can to help me get out of that. So I really do appreciate that. It's more than just like like, as you just said, like, there's love. There's love there, and you don't see that a lot in teams. Like, I mean, there's there's love in teams, but there's a lot of like just business where business gets and business is business, but sometimes that gets ahead of like the connection. And I feel like the love is there definitely with the team that I have.
And so you're an only child. I'm an only child as well.
Hey.
And I'm curious. I want to pick your brain on that a little bit because whenever
How do you feel like it impacted you growing up?
How do I feel it?
Yeah.
I think I think it first made me independent, you know, just like, so my parents divorced when I was younger, so naturally just going from house to house, you know, taking the subway. I mean, they both live in like different parts of Brooklyn, so you know, just taking the subway from mom's house to dad's house, and then just, I mean, they're two very different people with very different, like my mom's French. You're Haitian, yeah?
I am.
You speak French?
I should.
You should?
I should. Did you learn French?
I did.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Next time I come back, I want to be speaking.
Exactly. We'll speak.
I'll be speaking French.
Exactly. We'll speak for the whole time. But yeah. So I spoke only French with my mom and English with my dad. So just like there's a lot of like differences there. But I think that I think when I was younger, like I would have loved like a sibling.
Yeah.
As I got older, it's just not an option. But I do think that it forced me to grow, I guess, quicker. And yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, like for me, it's like I'm happy with where my life is now. So that's part of my journey. And so, you know, kind of embracing it. But it does, on the other hand, I'm curious to hear your take on it. It definitely makes me want to like have a family with like a lot of not like, you know, a couple kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I guess I didn't experience that with having siblings. But I don't know. What was your only child experience, and how you see your future with this past?
So I think I didn't really think much of being an only child until more recently. I started to think to myself that actually plays a role in certain social skills.
Okay.
And certain thought processes. But for me, like the first few years of my life, I grew up around my cousins, so
okay,
I did have like an aspect of like almost like having brothers and sisters. But then when I started going home by myself, that's when I feel like that changed. And sheesh, sometimes I feel like I'm supposed to be an only child in a way.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't really know how to like explain that, but I feel like life would just be so different. Shit, like,
yeah,
life would be very, very different, and I don't think I would like. Sometimes I feel like life is just like this. Our life story is written out almost, and we're just playing it out. And sometimes I feel like, as much as I've wanted, I used to always want like a little sister. I wanted to be like the protector, but I feel like I was meant to be an only child, and I'm thankful at the same time for my parents being great parents.
Do you does it make you want to have, well, at first, if you want to have kids, and if so, does being an only child make you want to have just one or multiple?
I want to have definitely like 2 kids.
Okay.
Boy and a girl would be perfect, and I'm good to go. But ideally, I feel like that will allow my child to like not like if when I do something wrong as an only child, it's like my parents are mad. It's not just one parent. So it's like with a sibling, like you have that sibling to talk to, even though like you just have that sibling to talk to and just be like, it's all good, like you're good, I'm not mad at you. But like in a household, it's like, it's just sometimes I feel like it's with an only child, at least you can tend to feel like you're being like attacked by your parents sometimes. But I mean, other than that, that's exactly why I would have 2 kids.
How often do you think about the future in terms of, I mean, you know, maybe kids, family, then also I guess the professional side?
So I don't think about like marriage or kids often. And I think that's just because I've been just focused on work. I feel like at the perfect time, that perfect person is gonna enter my life, and at the perfect time, I'm gonna have a kid. But life is just gonna it's just gonna go.
If I told you Jufu at 25,
All right.
what do you hope life is looking like then and then 35?
Okay. Seeing it 25, I see myself.
So that's in 4 years for people listening.
That's a wow.
But think about where you were 4 years ago.
I don't know why that feels like it feels like 2 years for some reason from now.
Yeah.
But 25, I definitely want to have done a world tour already. And just continuing music and being one of the, if not the biggest name in music. Like, and I know that's a pretty bold statement, but the biggest name in music.
Say it.
I feel like I'm a very versatile artist, and I feel like there's certain skills and certain skills and talent that I didn't know I had until pretty recently. I played guitar since I was 9, but vocally, I feel like I was just gifted, and I don't know how to explain it. Like, and that gift appeared recently. Not too recently,
how
but
so?
like I don't know. I think maybe it's probably is
Like
just
you heard it in your voice. You were like, wait.
I think it's just from consistency in recording.
Okay.
But I just remember not being able to do certain things with my voice that I can do now. And I feel like I was blessed to do that. And blessed to have those abilities so that I could fulfill a major purpose. And I almost feel like I need to be one of the biggest artists in the world to leave as big of an impact that I want to leave on the world.
Okay, but don't you think that then also puts a tremendous amount of pressure on not only you, but also like how you're going to feel about yourself? Like if you're not, for some, I don't want to manifest that because you will be. But like, do you feel like that is, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
It is. And I feel like I'm going to continuously go through different trials that are going to mentally prepare me for that. I feel like Drake's able to withhold his position because of a very strong mindset. You need a very strong mindset to be in Drake's position. And I feel like everything that I've been going through is just preparing me for a major position. And then by 35,
hit 35.
35, I definitely see myself production company, making films. I'd have a kid. It's probably gonna be anywhere between 1 and 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna have one kid at that point? You think number 2 is gonna be after 35?
See, I definitely want my kids to be like no more than 2 years apart for sure.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So, but going back to keeping that mindset strong for you, when do you feel like you're able to keep that mindset as strong as possible? Is it when you're recording?
So I mean mindset more so just like in multiple aspects, like a strong mindset for business, a strong understanding of going back to psychology where you can really understand different people that you're working with, and understand people that you're in business with as well, because sometimes businesses won't have the best intention for you, so you need to be able to work your way around that. But just a strong mindset in terms of that, strong mindset in terms of just being majorly consistent in practicing all good habits that are healthy for yourself and good habits that are going to ideally make you feel like you are doing well for yourself. Like, I don't want to feel like, damn, I didn't do this, or damn, I wish this wasn't this way. Like, I want to completely, because I know that we all have the power to shape the reality that we experience, I want to completely be able to not have anything that is within myself that's throwing me off. Like, the only thing I want to throw me off is reality, but I'm too mentally strong and physically at my best where that thing is not going to be affecting me as bad as it would normally affect somebody.
How often do you think about things like this?
It's ideally the type of conversation that we're holding is the only type of things I like to talk about.
Right.
I don't really like to talk about what that person did or what that person's wearing. Like, this is all I like to think and talk about for the most part.
And so when is that podcast coming? Because I mean,
Sheesh.
we talked about it when we were outside, but like honestly, I feel like the kind of person you are is like you thrive when you're having good conversation, and I imagine with people that you want to be having those conversations with, and ultimately, if your ultimate purpose is to kind of make the people around you, to uplift them and to put them on a better trajectory, I feel like there's no better way than I feel like for you, I feel like that seems almost natural.
There's somebody that on YouTube that I watch a lot. He's really dope. His name is Hindsight. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I haven't.
But definitely one of the first people that I'd want to have on a podcast for sure. I also want to learn real quick, if you don't mind sharing, like, when did you develop the interest in doing a podcast? Like, when did you just like, and like, is this associated with a purpose for you as well, or is like a little bit?
Yeah, no, that's a question that I haven't ever really thought about. As to when I started, so I started when I was 19. My first year of college, I went to UC Santa Barbara in California.
Nice.
So I same like you, I grew up in Brooklyn, born and raised. So when I went to Santa Barbara, obviously it's like beautiful, but it was just so not my type of vibe. It's just like, I need like the fast-paced city, like, the New York vibe. So I was pretty miserable there, to be honest. And I knew I wanted to kind of transfer and get out of there. And so I like completely isolated myself from everyone. And I had never listened to a podcast in my whole life before. And then I heard about Joe Rogan. I'm a big UFC fan. And I had heard about this Rogan podcast that was taking over the world. So I started listening to him. I thought some of the guests that he had on were great. Like I would click on literally random episodes, hear about some guy who like trekked over Antarctica or some crazy thing like that. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I'm learning about so many different things. I'm learning more listening to a 3-hour conversation right now than I am in school. And I was like, wow, like I've always felt comfortable talking to people. So I'm like, why don't I start this? Like, there's so many people that I feel like I would get along with or that I could learn from that I just don't have like a reason to talk to. Like, or like a UFC fighter, like there's no reason that they would talk to me. But now if I have a podcast, like I could all of a sudden like learn from them. Like there's an excuse for me to reach out, whatever. So I was like, I feel like I could do this. And so that freshman year, I grinded school so that I could make sure I could transfer and get out of California. But then when that was done, I literally just like spent every single day to like 3-4 a.m. just grinding out emails to like guests or like at some point like sponsors. Be like, hey, like, will you come on my show? Will you come on my show? Yada, yada. And then I started getting a few people here and there, started growing a little bit. And then I ended up transferring back over to Boston University, where I'm still at now. And when I came back...
What are you studying?
I'm in the business school. Okay. And so I came back eastward. And then when I came back to Brooklyn, I didn't even realize that there was like this studio that was, blocks from my house. I won't tell people exactly where, but pretty close in the neighborhood. And then I just started like really like pushing it there. And then I was just getting like all these dope guests that I loved. And so then from that point, I was just like, I would remember the feeling of how great it was, and the same feeling I'll have today after leaving you, how great it is when I have people that I enjoy talking to and that I can learn from, and like meaningful connections that I can make and have just like authentic conversation that, I don't have an agenda with. And then yeah, just kind of since then has been kind of like my main, I guess like passion project side thing. And it's great because I get to like meet anybody ranging from people like you to UFC fighters to former mafia bosses to leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement to future Mayor Eric Adams to like, whoever it might be. So for me, that's kind of like my story. And then your second question, which was, say it again because I don't want to butcher it.
Just if you associated, where's this going with like a personal life purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. Ultimately, I think it's very on like similar message to like what you're talking about. I think for me, I hope that when people listen to conversations like this, they get to take away about, because this is about you. This is your episode, even though I'm talking like crazy right now. But this is about you, and I hope that people get to better get to know you, and on a different level. Because you might. I mean, I'm sure you've done interviews, and you'll continue to do interviews where they'll go in, they'll ask you about your new album, and just kind of like the surface level stuff. Yeah. But get to know you as a person. But I hope that people get to listen to this and feel like, wow, like I learned something, or Jufu seems like super cool. I'm gonna follow him on Instagram and see what his content's about.
Or even narrative resonance. Some people will experience that the same way I've experienced that with some other people.
Explain exactly what narrative resonance is.
I don't have the direct definition itself, but as somebody explains their story,
okay,
or like someone's story, there are certain pieces in people's story that correlate and resonate with your own experiences. Like I assume you have some people that inspire you,
right?
And sometimes those people have experienced certain things that you've experienced something similar to that. So I mean, that's just.
Is there someone that you've heard like a story and you've had that like, or if someone that you look up to that you're like, wait, I feel that exact same way, or I've had in a very different way like a very similar experience?
Not to go back into it, but last year, the passing, I don't know if you know X's music.
Yeah, I mean,
are you familiar with Jocelyn Flores?
No.
It's a slower song, but she passed away.
Okay.
She was somebody who was in his life.
Okay.
Her death had an impact, a major impact on his life as well, and that's just a small example of that for sure.
When something like that happens and you then see the parallels between X, his tragedy, your tragedy, does that? I mean, for me, that would give me goosebumps, in a way, because that's so.
It worries me sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, it does. It does.
How so? Well, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I just. It just, I don't know. I don't even want to say.
Okay.
There, but yeah, sometimes I do get worried, but I mean, I'm just focused on the purpose overall.
And for you, I mean, on the day-to-day, because in a lot of ways you're creating a brand, right? Do you feel like there are different ways that you want to continue to alter and better and mold the Jufu brand as you continue in life, on a personal level and on a professional level?
I definitely want to alter the Jufu brand from what it is currently, and just shift it more into like this podcast is right now. Like I want to have my audience really like know who I am, like beyond the music, like know what I'm feeling, know what I'm going through, and ideally just feel like I'm a friend of theirs, like that. That's not too far from them.
Do you ever catch yourself?
So I want to make it a lot more personal for sure.
Well, because I think also what I've noticed in talking to you is that there's a genuine kind of like authenticity that you like you speak from a place of complete realness, like what you're saying. Because I've had guests where not I love all my guests, but you can tell sometimes if they have to give like an answer that's, again, the surface level answer because they know that there's a camera. But do you feel like it's become, or do you feel like it's hard to remain authentic, or is that something that you actively try to make sure that you do, so that you can, just show who you are every single day?
Most of the time, I feel like I can't help it, and then when I need to not get into something deep, such as like an interview talking about my album or whatever I'm dropping, I have to like remind myself, all right, let's not get fully like in depth on a full on story that I don't need to get into here right now. But yeah, that's really the way that I feel about that. But if there is something that I really like need to get out my chest, I won't even like say it during the interview, but I'll like have a real conversation with the interviewer after, off camera or before.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about you?
Biggest misconception? Oh man. I mean, just based off physical appearance, people can make a lot of misconceptions. Like I go on Omegle a lot just to meet strangers.
Yeah.
I love talking to just strangers. And yeah, like people would just look at me and just assume a bunch of different things, really.
What are the best or maybe the worst?
I wouldn't say well, in terms of things that people misconstrued, there's no best for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I don't even like, just the way I look at it, it's like I don't even blame people for having misconstrusions. It's probably not a word.
That's a tough one.
It's probably not a word, but I don't blame people for that, because I feel like just whatever their own experiences are is gonna give them a certain perspective of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it definitely shifts a lot. Like some people will say that I'm trying to be like this person, I'm trying to be like that person, or I look like that person. But I mean, it's beyond that. It's just people that haven't gotten to know me really, and I would love to give everyone the chance to get to know me better, and I'd like to get to know a lot more people better as well, and figure out just more ways to speak directly to as many people as I need to.
Is there something that you feel like you really wish like people out there knew about you, or when you say get to know you better, that you feel like maybe is harder to kind of convey through social media?
I have the best intention for you. I would never deceive you. I'm here for you. You can harm me. You can harm somebody you can harm somebody I know, and I will still have good intention for you. That's just the way I operate. I can't wish bad upon people. So that's what I would want. And same for you, and same for you, and everyone around me. And that's really just the way I like to operate.
Have you always been like that?
I feel like my first signs of overextending myself has been just like in relationships in the past, and then getting stepped on and my heart broken. But I still have great intention for those girls, and I don't blame them anymore, because I mean, it's just life. But I mean that's just the way. It's just I can't help it. Like I just want the best for everybody. I want everyone to feel completely just free, free, open, and like understanding of self. Just I want everyone to love themselves. I just want people to be happy.
When you think about your experiences, and say someone was to, which might have happened, to come to you and say, look, I don't feel as good as I should, or maybe to listen to this episode or other interviews that you'll do in the future, and relate to something that you're talking about, what is your best piece of advice to the people that follow you, or your fans, or maybe someone that isn't familiar with you yet, on how to better have that love in their heart that you overwhelmingly do?
I started thinking about a point that I started thinking about the advice that I wanted to give, so I missed the ending of what you were saying. I apologize.
Well, like then I won't cut you, then tell me that piece of advice that you were thinking about.
Real quick, I feel like a very general way to look at this is something I live by now, and I love to repeat it and remember it and tell other people this. Anyone suffering from any form of depression whatsoever, any form of anxiety whatsoever, it's definitely, anxiety is very common as well, but remember that depression is in the past, when you're thinking about the past and you're living in the past. Anxiety is from thinking and living in the future, and peace is in the present moment. So practice being in the present moment. It's very important.
How do you practice being in the present?
Literally just
You meditate?
meditation is one thing. I haven't meditated in a while. It's the honest truth. But meditation is something that is very helpful. I think a lot of people tend to get a little closed-minded to it sometimes.
What's meditation look like for you?
Meditation for me is silence and completely focusing on being aware. Like any thoughts that come in, you allow that thought to flow in, but you don't grasp onto it mentally. You just allow that to flow away and remain very aware of where you are and remain very present of where you are, and preferably silence, because any distracting sounds can be very distracting to the process.
To wrap things up,
Yes.
I'm always curious with my guests, and obviously you have a lot of beautiful, healthy, loving life ahead of you. But do you ever think about the Jufu legacy? What mark you hope to leave on the world?
I feel like as long as I'm continuing towards fulfilling my purpose, and that is shown through what I create, such as the music, the content, the podcast, the interviews, the movies, like as long as my mind and my intention is the way that it is currently, and just expanding more, obviously, the legacy it almost speaks for itself. And I feel like people will be able to, when I pass, whenever that day goes, people will be able to look back at the things that I've created and learn from it and resonate and see where they connect with the things that I've created. But that's really where I see the legacy being. I see it being impactful for many people, though.
And I think honestly, like, you're already impacting a lot of people, whether you know it or not. And I think that the way that you've handled, being in a spotlight at such a young age is really remarkable. And not just like to handle it, but it's also to not abuse it. You know what I mean? Because I think that there's a lot of people that get thrust into these positions and do it a lot for themselves or about themselves. And for me, it seems like in talking to you, it's really about the others, and whether that be your family, whether that be your fans, you.
And even my peers, like fellow artists as well. Like I want them to know what they're doing it for. Like think more about what you're giving to people rather than all the money you're making or all the cool things you're about to buy for yourself.
Yeah.
Like I want people to definitely think more in a giving mindset for sure.
100%. Real quick, let's plug away where people can find you. I know you got some cool things coming out soon, so let the world know.
Everything is at Jufu. Instagram, Lil Jufu, because Jufu's taken. But Snapchat, Jufu Snap. I answer my DMs on Instagram, so shoot me a DM. I apologize if it takes long for me to get back to you. But yeah, everything else is just Jufu. Jufu, Jufu.
And you have some new videos dropping soon, some new music?
I do. I got, what we got coming? I'm dropping a remix video actually next Friday to Red Light, Green Light by DaBaby. And then we're dropping the Kicking It With My Bros music video. It's coming soon, all right? Kicking It With My Bros.
Hey.
I'm kicking it with my bro right now.
Exactly.
KIWMB.
And so we're going to get this out before then so we can make sure that that's all plugged away. So yeah, I think people can follow you everywhere. Jufu, man, an absolute pleasure to meet you. And look, man, I'm just anytime you ever need to talk or to come back and of course promote whatever you're doing, an absolute pleasure. I mean, we're both in Brooklyn. But thank you to your family and your manager for coming in, and man, I'll be rooting for you every step of the way.
Appreciate you, man.
Jufu, everybody.
Definitely wanna. Excuse me. I definitely wanna connect with you, like, and just hang out sometime.
Of course,
and I'll
always.
definitely come back. Like,
Bro, we're both
whatever.
in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
All right.
You're my guy.
Jufu, everybody.
Shout out Felix. Where's this going?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.